Are you really overly sensitive, or is it within the realms of reason? Again, only you can answer this, right? But the other thing is this, right? If, let's just say, it's something that you really feel that, wow, like you said just now, someone says, okay, this is not so good, okay? And you suddenly feel hurt, and a spur of negative emotions come out, right? So how do you get out of it? My question to you with this, okay? So if someone tells you, it's not so good, now you're feeling down. My question to you would be, so what? So what if it's not good? Would you like to answer? So what if it's not good?
Normally the so what comes after that, but
Yeah.
some if you're sensitive, sometimes you tend to mull over it or let you let it affect you for your emotions for that day.
So that what has to be your trigger response. It's got to be a trained process. When you're feeling a little sensitive over something, it becomes your SOP. You ask yourself, so what? So how does this become automatic? It's by doing it repeatedly. All right? The formula for mastery is very simple. Any skill in this world that you want to learn and master, any skill, all right, which includes the way that we think, that's a skill. All right? There's only 3 steps to it. Repetition, all right strategy, and positive support system. All right? Repetition means the more you do something, the better you get at it. Problem with it, as I mentioned, if you do something wrong, you will master doing it wrong. That's why you need the strategy. All right? And then with the strategy, you need to be in a positive support system, because whenever you're trying to master a new skill, you have a lot of doubt within you. The last thing you need is to be in an environment that adds on to this doubt. Okay? But the more you do it, the better you get at it. These days, whenever I feel sensitive too at times. Like I put in a lot of work to produce a video, and then suddenly someone sends to me, it's like, hey, how come this video like this? Why didn't you do it like that? I feel hurt immediately. It's like, damn, I put in so much of work, and rather than focusing on the quality of the content, you're picking up one part of the interview and you're like, oh, this was a wrong question to ask, right? But immediately for me, it kicks in, so what? All right, that's 1 out of 100 people who didn't like it. So what? So what if that one person didn't like it? Right? Because once you ask yourself, so what, a few times, what you're doing is this. You are detaching yourself from that emotion of hurt that you're feeling. When you can cut that off, now you can look at the command that was given, the feedback that was given objectively. What stops us from looking at feedback objectively is emotions. All right? It's the emotion that we have attached, right, to what was being said. All right? There's always this thing, okay? For example, failure, right? Right? There is the act of failure. There's the experience of failure, and there's the emotion of failure. The experience of failure is when something doesn't happen the way we wanted it to happen. That's often considered as a failed attempt. All right? That's just an experience. But how we feel when something doesn't happen that we wanted it to happen in a certain way, that's the emotion of failure. All right? Same thing. When someone gives a feedback, there is the act of receiving a feedback. There's that experience of receiving a feedback. But what it triggers is the emotion that's associated with that feedback. If it was a positive feedback, we get positive feelings. If it's a negative feedback, we get negative feelings. But when we are feeling negative feelings, it clouds our ability to look at the feedback objectively. All right? Same goes for positive feelings, You could have delivered, for example, I could have delivered the worst sharing session here today. All right? But if someone comes and tells me that, hey, that's the best session I've ever heard, all right? That feeling of euphoria might cloud my ability to look at my sharing session objectively. To really ask myself, did I really do a good job? Or was it a terrible job? Right? That's the other reason why I have those cameras there. From the very first day that I started giving talks, right, I have always recorded my sessions, because the first thing I do when I go home later is to go through this entire talk and to be objective over myself. I'm normally my worst critic, but I'm also my best cheerleader. All right? A lot of times, in my mind, once I'm done, I think I do a very bad job. Until I go back and I watch the videos and hey, not bad. That's a new thought that I brought up. So it becomes my feedbacks to look at it objectively. All right? So emotions can cloud our ability to look at things objectively, be it positive emotions or negative emotions. If you want to look at something objectively, you first got to detach yourself from what you're feeling. So negative emotions, how you want to detach it, you can do that four question self-coaching exercise just now. You want a faster way? If you're feeling hurt because someone said something, ask yourself, so what? So what if they said that? So what if it's the worst thing that was ever produced in this face of this planet? So what? Is it the end of the world? Is it not? All right? Once you detach yourself from the emotion, now go and look at the feedback objectively. Is there any truth to this feedback? Is it really the worst thing ever produced? If it is, what can I do to be better? If it isn't, then it's their opinion. All right? It doesn't really affect. Right? So that would be how I would approach it.